So let me just go into this reading because I feel like a lot of the information that came out earlier, it covers elements here in this reading. So let me talk here about this first. So this is your energy showing up here as the King of Cups in the reverse situation. The King of Cups in the reverse is I often think of this king as, someone who's very popular, very likable, easy to talk to, very approachable, loving, caring, and generally cares about the well-being of people. And he has a good heart. When it shows up in the reverse position, well, and he's also a little bit indulgent, indulgent in food, wine, women, whatever the situation is. And this is your energy, whether or not you are male. So this is male or female, it's gender neutral. And when it shows up in the reverse position, it usually indicates to me a lot of discipline is coming into the picture for this month, where you're going to have to, put your kind of like nose to the grindstone, hitting the ground running. A lot of quick, fast-paced energy that is coming in, a lot of work coming into the picture where your main source of income is heavily, heavily dependent on it. Your financial standing, your safety, job security within an organization, within a company, heavily depends upon the hard work that you contribute. So I feel that, contrary to what people believe, I'm sensing that you are somebody that is like this, okay? Very likable, wants to be liked, wants to be popular, wants to ease other people's frustrations, pain, whatever it is. You generally want to help people. And for this month, I feel like you might be put in positions where you realize you can't help everybody. And as well, you might have to do some things that you don't really agree with on an emotional or even on an ethical level. And I feel like on the mild end, it might just be emotionally advocating for somebody or taking on a project where you don't really believe in the progress, the outcome. You don't really believe in it 100%. But because of the way that the work is structured, this is a very structured environment. It can be structured to the point where it's a little bit dogmatic. It can be very, I want to say, it can also be very like stagnant. So people might have outdated views. People might have a very stringent set of protocols, set of regulations that you have to abide by, and it becomes really restrictive. And I feel like you might even have to advocate for a specific course of action because higher ups, your supervisor, your manager, your, the environment that you work in, they tell you do this and you don't really have a choice. At the end of the day, if you do it, you get paid. And so financially, it's a practical decision that you're making, right? And then for others of you, I feel like there's an element here about very anti-establishment, being very anti status quo. Okay, so I feel like you might be on the forefront, leading the charge and trying to refute, trying to debunk, trying to dismantle a system that has gone awry. And I feel at the same time, when this happens, you're making this calculation in your head. First of all, okay, it's not a popular viewpoint. I don't know how many people are going to agree with me. And so I feel like you have already weighed out the option that, okay, if I go against the establishment, it might hurt me financially. I'm in a good financial space right now. Do I want to take that risk? And then at the same time, I feel like for many of you, there's an element of fear, right? Like, do I have all the skills? Do I have do I have the backing of other people? Can I persuade other people? Can I get people on board? And also, this is not a conflict driven type of a person. This is your energy. You're not conflict driven. You're not like somebody that is, like the Sagittarius or even the Leos that charge into battle to fight for the truth. I feel like you're a little bit more of a lover and you want people to get along, but there's something going on in this, establishment where this hierarchy, this establishment where the order has broken down. Somebody might be abusing their power, or somebody might be advocating for the wrong things. And so you're grappling with this dilemma. On the one hand, you're safe here, but on the other hand, it's not what you believe in. And so you're trying to work up the courage. This is like new projects, new ideas, new burst of ambition and passion. You're trying to work up the courage. You're trying to embody, more of that Leo and Sagittarius and Aries energy to get things done, to be on the forefront, to charge right ahead with something. So I feel for many of you, there is a little bit of a conflict here at work that you're trying to work through, and you're trying to create change or induce change from within. And you feel like the only way I can do this, if I lead the cause, or if I, charge ahead and try to dismantle it from within. So I feel like that's what you're doing. I do sense as well the image that you project, though, to the to coworkers, to supervisors, to, people that you're working with, is somebody that is very pragmatic, somebody who's very practical, somebody very reliable. And you are all of these things, but it just seems to me like you're projecting this, you're projecting a different energy than what you are. And so there's definitely, this element here about, yes, the job pays the bills, I'm making a lot of money, but are you truly happy in that environment? Is it getting you where you need to be? And are you fighting the good fight, pretty much? Are you in alignment with are you in alignment, are your values, or are you in alignment with what you believe in? Because I feel like there are people around you that you don't agree with, but you might try to, play nice and try to harmonize the relationship and want to be likable and going with the crowd, even though it's not something that you believe in. Okay. So I feel like those are like, mild to medium to extreme situations that some of you might be dealing with right now in the work environment. I also feel a huge element here about family creeping up, and especially father figures for many of you. I feel like there was a father figure who did not behave in a way that was, I feel like, he kept everything running. So it's somebody that brings home the money, it's somebody that like, put a roof over your head, put food on the table, allowed you to have a home environment, where there was electricity, where there was running water. He paid the bills. But when it comes to your emotional needs, because Cancerian people, a house doesn't make it a home. There has to be that sense of love. There has to be that sense of emotional connection in order for you to feel like it's truly a home. Some of you have struggled with this concept. You might have been very estranged from a father figure. And this is showing up here with this King of Cups, which can be a father figure to a water sign. And it's underneath the Hierophant, which is a family card. So I feel this element here about a father struggling with a father figure. And even if you grew up and you're just like, oh, I didn't like dad because of, all these things that he did, I feel like you have to admit to yourself, he was a good provider. He was there. He sent money home, or at least there was money circulating around. And then for others of you, there might be some forms of like emotional neglect, emotional abuse, or even some type of like a very absent father in the picture. So he might have done these things, but emotionally he was just not available. And emotionally there wasn't that a connection. So there's a lot of estrangement. There's going to be talks and discussions here heavily with your father for the month of September as it relates to how the family unit function, who's, like what family means, as well as confronting, getting frustrated and having to confront, having to confront either authority or your father when it comes to, trying to do the right thing, not just putting food on the table, but providing a nurturing, emotionally stable environment so that family members can thrive. So there's discussions about that. And I feel like it's going to bring up some issues, some deep buried issues for many of you. And I feel like you're going to start to question once again those core values. You're going to question again, like, your purpose. What are you really working towards? And how have you kind of like let the important things fall on the wayside? Important like family relations, important people in your life. How have these things fallen on the wayside? How have these things been put on the back burner in the process of pursuing your career and your professional life and your finances? Okay. So honestly, I feel like money is not going to be a major source of problem for this month. I feel like coming out early, you are already kind of like on top of your career. You are already somebody that, people look up to, like um, I want to say like a mid or a top career professional. And in your work environment, there might not be any room to grow anymore. And so you're trying to figure out, do I take on, new projects? Do I change direction? If I continue to stay here, I'm not growing anymore. There isn't another like there isn't a step up. So where can I look? Where else can I look? And so many of you might resort to, doing freelance work on the side. This is a card greatly about like a second source of income, doing two jobs, juggling two major responsibilities or two major revenue stream. I feel like in this case, it is a major revenue stream because it feels like you're already tapping out, like maxing out on your career. You're taking on new jobs. There might be additional like, family expenditures, a lot of expenditures in the household, trying to, once again, finding a new space for either living, residing, or working from home. And I feel like some of you are coming into this month with a new gig, okay, like a second source of income, a freelance gig that you're doing, and things like that. So when you are doing this gig, what I feel is there's going to be a little bit of time before it actually gains traction and will start to really take off for you. So first of all, I feel some of you might be reaching out through, your address book, making connections, contacting people that you've worked with from the past, contacting even past employees for a letter of recommendation, somebody that can vouch for you so that you can continue this job search, or that you can branch out and start doing freelance work. So you need somebody in the past to vouch for you. And then for others, I feel like there might be, it's like you're getting something off the ground, but there are a little bit of hangups because of lack of agreement or lack of consensus with the people who are in this situation, in the environment. And then for others, with the Hangman, the Judgment card, lack of new beginnings, and the Hangman is kind of like some type of hang-ups as it relates to, having to get some type of consensus and agreement from other people. So I feel like there are some things that are still being tied up here as it relates to, a second job. For others, it could be, to me, a property that you're waiting on a decision from somebody that you used to live with, you used to cohabit with, you used to have children with as well, or you have children with. And I feel like if it's like a physical property, there's still going to be some hangups, and it might not clear up until, about 2 months time. Okay. So we are in September. So that's going to be in the November time frame. Moving into December, I feel like this usually indicates to me the turn of a new year. So I feel like it might not get resolved until like the very end of this year, where there's more conversations, there's more discussion, there is more mutual agreement. So I feel like some things are being held up. And for some of you, you're trying to scrounge up money together. I see like scrounging money together, working really hard, foregoing pleasure, foregoing other activities, working really hard, scrounge up money so that you can secure a very stable home for your children. And so the concept of fatherhood, I feel, is very crucial coming through for this month. Motherhood and fatherhood too, but I feel like for especially Cancerian males, if you have children, and if you, I feel like the crunch time for you to secure a stable environment for your kids, but also for you to really, it's starting to hit home, like, what does family mean? It's not just the house, the roof over their head. It's the quality time that you spend with them. It's the emotional connection, because that to you means everything. And so, give them structure. Children thrive well in structures, okay? No matter what you do, give them a lot of structure. So you might not have the ideal home environment, but as long as you can provide them with that structure to begin with, that's going to set them up for life, okay?